Breaking news, a senior White House official says the U.S. is looking to put North Korea on a list of state sponsors of terrorism. This as the entire Senate, both sides of the aisle, is meeting at the White House right now for a briefing on North Korea that should be breaking up momentarily. Are we on the brink of military engagement with North Korea, and could it lead to an all-out nuclear war? I want to bring in former Assistant Secretary of Defense under Ronald Reagan and retired U.S. Naval Captain Larry Korb. Larry, all it takes to spark a wildfire is one tiny, thin match. And, you know, in military terms, that could be an errant sound, who knows what. Are you looking at something like that, sparking all-out war with a capital W?
Well, I think we have to be careful of the rhetoric, and I think the Trump administration is finally getting its act together. You remember the fiasco with the aircraft carrier and the Armada, and the president talking about, you know, nuclear submarines off the coast. I think Admiral Harris, who's the commander-in-chief of the Pacific, testified this morning before the Congress, and he said that the sanctions that China is putting on them are beginning to, you know, have an effect. And what I think we need to do, and the president says he's willing to negotiate at some point, is say, if you freeze your nuclear development, not going to get rid of it, basically what we will do is we will talk about an armistice to end the Korean War. You know, we still haven't ended the Korean War, and the North Koreans really believe that, you know, we want to control the whole peninsula. We need to do that, and we need to talk about at least temporarily suspending some of the exercises we do with the South Koreans, because, again, that feeds into their narrative.
Okay, Larry, I also have this just moving on the tape. Senior White House officials are saying that China now sees North Korea as a threat to Chinese interests and security. Maybe those sanctions aren't working well enough, and now it becomes a real threat from a military standpoint and from a global standpoint.
Well, that's why the sanctions are working, because the Chinese were always doing it kind of in a half-hearted way. But when they say that, they're going to get much more tougher on them. I mean, the Chinese are concerned they do not want to see an American presence on their border, nor would they want to see a nuclear war there. And one of the things that we're doing, which makes sense, is started under Obama, is we're putting in what we call a missile defense system, the THAAD system, into South Korea.
That's the anti-missile defense system that, by the way, is not operational just yet, but will be in a couple of days.
Right, that's right. And the fact of the matter is the Chinese don't like that either, because they say we could use it against their nuclear deterrent. So I think we're getting the things together. And as I say, it took a while with some of these contradictory statements, but I think we're finally sending the message that we need to. And this thing about putting them on a sponsor of terrorism, that's not good. That'll feed again into their narrative that we're out to get them.
But this China headline makes me wonder, and people are going to say, Liz, you're such a war hawk. No, I'm not. But is this China giving a verbal green light to the United States to start using some of that heavy artillery that they've moved over to well, now it's in the Philippine Sea, within 2 hours of striking distance, as far as the USS Vincent is concerned, to maybe lob something?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you, even if you don't go nuclear there, you're going to have millions of people die because of where the artillery is north of the on Seoul. Not just the South Korean people. There's about 150,000 Americans live there. We've got 30,000 troops plus their families. And even without a nuclear war, you're going to have horrible casualties. No, nobody wants a conflict there. And you know what this reminds me of? When China under Mao got nuclear weapons, people were saying the same thing. Oh, he's crazy, we can't do it. Well, we eventually were able to work, you know, Nixon went to China.
Larry, great to see you. What you're saying may have had a negative effect on the markets. The Dow is now negative, down 10 points. Not blaming you, just saying. Larry Korb, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.